Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and our Ninjago Summer 2025 reviews are continuing. Another year, another combo vehicle. After last year's somewhat disappointing Ninja combo vehicle, we're getting another one this year that, at least from the outside, looks a lot better than the previous one. And this is the brand new Ninja combo vehicle featuring FRAK, the new Serpentine member of the team, alongside Wildfire and Kai. I think it's really cool to have a set that kind of focuses on some of the newer team members while still factoring in that classic Kai color scheme and blending in some Serpentine aesthetics for the jet as well. It's a really interesting build. But is it worth $100? Let's jump into the review right now. Here is set number 71844 Ninja Combat Vehicle. It is the latest in a series of combo vehicles that LEGO has been putting out for Ninjago, and after last year's rather disappointing entry, there were a lot of eyes and stakes pointed towards this brand new set, and I'm happy to say it at least looks a lot better than last year's. It retails for $100 and 90 euros, but only comes with 561 pieces, and that price is pretty crazy. We will get back to that near the end of the review, because I could not believe my eyes when I saw the price, and unfortunately not in a good way. That being said, there are a lot of things to love about the set. It is our introduction to FRAK, finally in physical minifigure form. It comes with two villains in the form of a spectral Dragonian warrior and Noct, the elemental master of brute force and a member of the Forbidden Five, Cole, Kai, and Wildfire, and altogether is a very interesting vehicle, certainly aesthetically pleasing compared to the previous combo vehicle. I think the thing that I really like about this set is that it tries something that feels new for Ninjago. The idea of a jet that attaches onto two bikes isn't necessarily fully fresh, but the way they've pulled it off does feel like it is its own unique vehicle. I love the gigantic tires that definitely did add to the size of the vehicle and certainly added to the price as well, and I just feel like aesthetically it is very interesting and unique compared to what we've seen before. I do want to start off though by taking a look at the villain side vehicle here. This is not really anything canon, it's just supposed to be some sort of Dragonian flyer, but I do appreciate how they were able to use the skull piece recolored in white for the front part of this glider. LEGO designer Lee Chi-Wing actually stated that in order to get that piece recolored for Tyr, he was able to convince the designer of this set to use it for this vehicle. Basically, it only was worth including in a new color if they were able to use it outside of just one set. So I actually really like how they were able to factor that into the vehicle here. The back of the vehicle has a flag that can be shown with the reveal blade here, which basically is a red filter that goes over your lens, which just makes all of the blue parts of that color blend into the background and allows you to more clearly see the white and red, which is what it's supposed to be hiding. It's not really hiding a face that convincingly because it very clearly is supposed to be a face anyways, but I think it works well and does the job okay. It certainly isn't as in-depth as some of the reveals that we've gotten for Explorians or Alpha Team back in the early days of LEGO, but I think it does the job fine. The glider itself actually reminds me a lot of a Possession side build. We used to get those very basic dragons, and I think it kind of makes sense because this wave is very spooky themed. That being said, I do want to move on to the main vehicle though, because I feel like this is where the meat and potatoes are. The main build consists of two practically identical bikes. There are only a couple of colors swapped out from one bike to the other, one representing the blue tinge of Wildfire's fire, and the other representing the standard Kai orange fire. The rest of the vehicle is FRAK's jet, and it's actually really cool to get a Serpentine-themed vehicle as a main ninja hero-themed car. I will say the Serpentine aspects of this vehicle are honestly not the most pronounced. I kind of wish they went all out and gave FRAK some sort of a lime green traditional Serpentine vehicle, but instead made it ninja themed. But honestly, I can see why LEGO chose not to do that. Maybe they figured it would be a little bit confusing for kids wanting to get a hero vehicle, but I will say I do like the inclusion of just a few little Serpentine elements here and there. The front of the jet clearly is meant to be a Serpentine face with fangs and eyes, and you even have a Serpentine symbol on the sides to really showcase that this is FRAK's jet. Even though in the show it kind of doesn't really have those decals, and it basically just changes hands to different ninja depending on whoever wants to be piloting it at one time. The vehicle, when fully combined, actually does look very solid as a combo vehicle. I really appreciate how it feels like a genuine just standard car by itself. I honestly would not have even expected this to be a transformation or combo vehicle by looking at it, which is actually a good thing. I think the best combo vehicles surprise you in splitting off into vehicles that look good on their own, but also look good combined. If you want to see how that combination feature works, it's super simple. Literally, all you need to do is lift those Technic flaps up, you don't even really need to do that, and then the two bikes separate out. They're attached by a long axle and a Technic pin, and it is as simple as that. No transformation required otherwise, it is very simple, and that's all it takes. The bikes by themselves are really nice because again, they don't feel like they're part of a combo vehicle, they feel like genuinely just good bikes on their own. It is a little bit uninteresting to have you build the identical bike over again, especially for a build as large as this, but I get why they had to do it, and I do appreciate these subtle differences to make them feel like they do belong to each of the different characters. Technically, we are getting a Wildfire specific vehicle here. I guess the Kai's Jet Storm Rider was a Wildfire vehicle in the show, but it really was designed as a Kai set, so this is our first Wildfire vehicle specific set, and then again, it is just part of a combo vehicle. The one thing I do want to call out here is the color scheme. I think the color scheme is really solid here. I love the usage of these Speed Champions wedge elements as the black windscreens. I think that is a really clever touch. The flame yellowish orange or keyed orange inner wheel is really nicely done too, and I love the usage of the dragon jaw on the back of the motorcycle, adding in that Ninjago flavor while still having it be a really cool parts usage for the back of the bike. Altogether, these are really fun to play with. I like how you have these Technic dishes on the side, which kind of act as stabilizers so the bikes don't tip over, but also roll on their own. They kind of feel like stabilizer wheels and just added features to have the elements be shooting out of them. The bikes are very oversized, but also genuinely very fun to play with. And I can see kids having a blast just rolling these around, trying to race them on the floor. They're just really nicely built and very solid. Thankfully, despite them being part of a combo vehicle, there isn't that much exposed Technic, especially compared to some other combo vehicles we've seen in the past, and the same goes mostly for FRAK's Jet. One thing I do appreciate is they've done their best to hide the Technic pins sticking out of the front by having the panels kind of go over them, which means from most angles you will not see those very ugly blue pins, but then from the underside it is very obvious that those are just pins. But I think it is genuinely a lot of fun to play with. It's very swooshable, as you just saw, and again, you do have those serpentine aspects added into the vehicle. You've got lime eyes for FRAK's eyes, two teeth for the serpentine, and then you have a snake symbol on the side of the jet as well, which is super cool. I actually think it's very nice that Ninjago is giving us a serpentine main hero. It's something myself and I know a lot of other people have been wanting from Ninjago for years, and they're finally delivering on it, which is super cool. Again, I wish that this vehicle pushed it even further in the serpentine direction. I think that just the very small lights at the front aren't really enough, and if you look at what it looks like in the show, it doesn't even have that serpentine front design. It really just has these green lights, so either the show designers didn't want to include it, or they didn't even realize it was supposed to be a serpentine front face. One other thing I will say is that I kind of wish that there was a better way to disguise the pin and axle here. I think they're doing a pretty decent job with the Technic cover panels, but I don't know, it still is very obvious from certain angles, especially when it's landed, so that is a minor con. The other thing that is nice though is that this set does have flick fire missiles. You do have a way to fire out the projectiles here, which is just a nice touch to add on to the play feature, and the inner cockpit is pretty nice as well. You have enough detailing to really make it feel like a Ninja vehicle on its own. Taking a look at the inner detail there, you can see that there is just a small graphic that showcases the two motorcycles which can be connected up to the jet, and then an image of FRAK on the display there, because clearly this is meant to be FRAK's jet, which is very cool. They're utilizing a brand new piece introduced for the second half of 2025 just for Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 3, which is this kind of smoke piece on the back here, which is meant to be specifically for this wave of Ninjago, so I do like that they continue to introduce new pieces like that. And then, if you want to see how it all combines, it is super simple. You lift up the two wings or flaps of the jet, and then you get the two motorcycles and stick them into the Technic holes on the back. Thankfully, it is probably one of the most well-hidden versions of these mechanisms that we've seen. I would say the only vehicle that beats it is the Ultra Stealth Raider in terms of the individual vehicles looking good on their own, while also making a very decent build for the combo vehicle itself. So altogether, I'm pretty positive on this. It's a very simple feature, and I honestly kind of wish it did a little more, maybe having the Technic wings on the back of the jet angle, or just having some sort of an extra additional transformation feature, but honestly, it didn't really need it. This model prioritized the aesthetics over functionality, and I appreciate that, especially because the past few combo vehicles have been a little hit or miss. This one definitely feels a lot nicer. But then again, we have to talk about the price. But before we talk about the price, let's take a quick look at the minifigs included in the set. The first minifig here is Cole, and it's a little strange to have him be here because he doesn't really have a place on the vehicle. He kind of is just there, but I do like the design for the Ninja this wave in particular. The dual molded armor is especially nice, and the only thing I will say, as I've said in other reviews, is the big downside is that you basically have no way to turn their heads with this armor on. One of my favorite things to do with my Ninjago minifigures is actually pose them up, have them be looking to the side or in different action poses, and this armor, having the mask be built into the armor, does not allow you to do that. It's a big shame, and I actually resorted to modifying and cutting off the front pieces of this armor to allow you to actually pose the minifigures in the way that you can see them in the show. And I never cut Lego pieces, so for me to do that, it's pretty serious. The torso design itself is very nice. I like how he has this sort of gunmetal chainmail armor on the inside of the armor piece there. You've got the symbol for Cole on the back, and then you have some nice details with the dark red being integrated into the color scheme, as well as a bit of dark tan armor. It's a very intricate design this time, but I think it works really well, and I like how the elemental effect of Earth is showcased with the rippling orange kind of rocky boulder design that Cole has on the front of the torso. Altogether, it's a really well done minifig. It just has that armor piece that I really wish they had a better way to do it. Just make the mask be a separate piece, because as it is right now, I really wish that you could pose him more than just looking forward just fully straight. Moving on from that, we can take a look at the next figure, which is honestly not super interesting, and that is Wildfire. For whatever reason, they have decided not to include the armor piece for Wildfire in this year's wave. I don't really know why they did that, because Wildfire has the armor in the show, and they just chose not to include it in any set this wave. I have to wonder if maybe it has to do with the fact that maybe that armor piece is getting discontinued and they're phasing it out. I really don't know. I don't have a good explanation as to why they wouldn't include it for this minifigure, but as it is right now, it is a decent figure. I like the hairpiece, but no armor is a bit unfortunate. Minifigure wise though, the highlight of the set for me is FRAK, and honestly, I am very mixed on this minifigure. Here's the thing. I think FRAK is one of the best new Dragon's Rising characters. I love how full of life he is in the show, how expressive his face is, how he really looks very endearing with his pupils and the way that he has all sorts of different expressions, and all of that is thrown out by a single unprinted dual molded component. I think the idea of FRAK wearing a ninja mask and hood is actually a pretty cool one. I like that he has a hood. I feel like it does set him apart and makes him feel like he's part of the ninja team. But they did that by sacrificing his eyeballs, and I don't know what it is with Lego these days, like maybe they don't really know how to print the serpentine eyeballs in a dual molded piece. I don't really know why, because in the past it didn't really seem to be a problem. They were printing eyeballs just fine on serpentine heads. So to not have eyeballs on FRAK is disappointing, and the other thing, not being able to turn his head is also really disappointing. I don't know why they do this, and they basically just have this little extra piece with a kind of like a circle clasp on the front of the torso to prevent you from turning his head back and forth. You really can only have him looking straight forwards, and that is another major con for me. I don't really know why they would design the piece that way, other than maybe my best guess is that they figured that for younger kids, they wanted to have it just super easy to have him looking forwards and not have to figure out which way is forwards, but I don't know. I feel like it would have been really cool to be able to turn his head, and it's an issue that a lot of the other Serpentine have, and it seems like something Lego purposefully is doing. For a lot of their specially molded headpieces, they're making it such that you cannot spin the heads, and I don't really know why that's the case. I'll have to ask the designers why they do that when I interview them. And altogether, not to keep dogging on FRAK, because it is really nice to get a FRAK minifigure, but I don't really know about the color scheme. Dark gray isn't really doing it for me when it comes to FRAK, and I do like the lime and green detailing, but I feel like FRAK could have had maybe just a bit of a better color scheme. I actually kind of like the original suit that he had, which was kind of a trainee G that he had for the first half of Dragon's Rising. I would have much preferred getting something closer to that than this. The dark gray body armor isn't really doing it for me. I don't really know, it just doesn't really really feel right for the character, and I'm very excited to see where they continue to evolve the look and feel of FRAK going forwards. I feel like for the Elemental Master of Quake, I would have loved to see some more earthy elements, maybe some browns or blacks being factored into the color scheme. I don't know, just something more than dark gray. Even gunmetal would have been more interesting. But with that, we can move on to Kai. And Kai is the same as he's appeared in all of the other sets that do include his minifigure, but I will say it is a really well done figure. Again, you have that same issue with the armor piece being just a single dual molded component where you can't twist the head side to side, but otherwise, I do like the design. You've got the rippling orange fire, you've got dark red integrated as well as dark tan, and he does come with a dual molded reveal blade as well, which is a nice touch. It's a really cool component, and one that I'm glad appears in almost every single set of the wave. Actually, I think it appears in every single one, now that I think of it, which is pretty nice to see. He does have that dual molded headband hairpiece introduced for the island, which I think works out great for the character, and he also has that tasseled chain detail, which all the ninja have as well, which I think is a pretty nice touch. Altogether, I think this is one of the stronger minifigures for Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 2. If only you could move the head in that armor. It's just a major flaw in my opinion. Moving onwards to our next minifigure here, we have a Spectral Dragonian Warrior, and this one does come with a mini dragon, although this time it has some claws on the side instead of the wings. Personally, I would have honestly just preferred it come with the wings, because then again, we would have been able to armor up fully another Dragonian. Currently, the only fully armored Dragonian with wings is in one set, which is very strange to me, but at least this one does include the dragon. I also really do appreciate the unique look and feel these Spectral Dragonians have this wave. From the transparent legs with printing on the legs, which looks really cool, to transparent arms, as well as the dark blue and gunmetal color scheme of the helmet, I think that this is a really interesting direction to take the Dragonians for this wave. And I also like how when you look at the back of the head, you have that evil-looking Forbidden 5 sort of Thunderfang sort of symbol on the back there, which is a really nice touch. Altogether, when you put the armor on, you can even remove the head and put it on backwards to showcase some sort of magical energy or fire breathing through the helmet. This isn't really canon because in the show they just have these as helmets, but I think it is a nice touch to have on the minifigs. And yes, you can choose to put the dragon on the back to maybe have this one have some spikes growing out of the back, which I think is an interesting look, but again, I just would have preferred to have the wings instead. Still, it is nice that this set does include a little Dragonian dragon alongside the main figure itself, because if you do have extra pieces or you want to order those extra wing elements, you can choose to armor this one up if you please. And finally, there is just one other minifigure, but this is one we have seen before, and that is Noct, the Elemental Master of Brute Force. While I would have loved to see spectral versions of the Forbidden 5 because they do look decidedly different in their appearances for this particular second half of episodes as opposed to the first half, I can understand that they just decided it wasn't worth it giving us brand new prints for the Forbidden 5 and they just decided to include the regular versions in the sets. Still, it is a really nice design. I really do think Noct has one of the cleaner Forbidden 5 designs. I was really excited to get Noct this year, especially after his remarkable showing in the Tournament of the Sources last year, so it is always good to get another version of Noct. Although why he doesn't have his cape, I really don't know. It's kind of a strange decision because in the show, he and Rox have their capes, and it almost looks like they initially intended for all the Forbidden 5 members to have capes, but then halfway through they decided not to, which is why the other three don't. So, I don't know, just a weird design choice, but I do think it's a good minifigure nonetheless. But with that, we do have to step back and look at price here. And while I do like this set, I do like it for what it is, $100 is insane. No way this is worth $100. It comes with 561 pieces, which again, price for part is not everything. It really depends on price for value of what you're getting, but even with the big tires, which I get add a little bit of extra budget to a set like this, it does not add $100 worth of budget. I do not understand where that budget is going into. I don't know why this set wasn't $60 or $70. I could even understand, I could defend $70. I would still say it's overpriced, but at $70, maybe. It's a small vehicle. It's not that big of a vehicle. Honestly, I would say $65 is pushing it. Like $60 is where this price should be at. But $100 is baffling to me. I know a lot of folks in the comments say that because I get sets sent to me for free by LEGO, then my opinion on them is pretty biased and not to be trusted, and while I will admit, yes, it's nice to get sets sent to me for free by LEGO, when I'm putting out a review, I have to be as honest as I can, and I am being fully honest here by saying that $100 is a ridiculous price to pay for a set like this. I cannot recommend it at $100. I don't think anybody should be paying $100 for this set, and honestly, I would say wait for a sale. Sometimes Ninjago sets do go on sale, especially if you're located in Europe. Sets go on sale a lot quicker than a lot of sets do here, so honestly, I would just say hold off on buying this one. I can't recommend it full price unless you really have to have FRAK right now. And I understand if you do have to. FRAK is an amazing character. I just can't justify getting this set for $100. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Sorry to end this one on a bit of a downer, but at least it's not as bad as the last year's set, which was overpriced and also just not a good set in my opinion. This one is overpriced, but genuinely a pretty fun set to play with. So, you know, we're moving upwards here. Baby steps, you know? Things are getting better. At least this is a fun set to play with, and I do like the minifig selection included. That's all for this review. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.